Welcome to World Prism. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. Let's talk about the never-ending dairy feud. A battle that's been simmering for decades, but recently reached a boiling point. The world of milk, cheese, and butter might seem wholesome and simple, but behind the scenes, it's a high-stakes game of politics, pride, and profit. At the heart of this frothy conflict are the United States and Canada, two neighbors with a long history of friendly rivalry, and occasional spats over who makes the best ice cream or cheddar. Earlier this year, President Trump threatened tariffs of up to 250% on Canadian dairy imports, a number so staggering, it almost sounds like satire. But for American dairy farmers, it was no laughing matter. The move sent shockwaves through the industry, raising fears of price hikes and lost markets. This wasn't just a random outburst, it was political theater at its finest, coming right after a temporary tariff reprieve for Canada and Mexico. The timing was no accident. It was a calculated move in a much larger trade chess game. Trump's claim: Canada is cheating and ripping off American farmers, using its own strict dairy controls to keep U.S. products out while protecting its homegrown industry. The rhetoric was fiery and the stakes were high. The proposed tariff is less a negotiation tactic and more a declaration of war on brie, cheddar, and every other delicious dairy import. Suddenly, your favorite cheese platter became a symbol of international tension. The president says it's to match Canada's own high tariffs, escalating a trade standoff that leaves farmers on both sides bracing for impact. For many, it's not just about economics, it's about livelihoods, family farms, and the future of rural communities. The threat of these tariffs hangs over North America, a reminder that trade wars rarely help the people they're supposed to protect. Instead, they often mean higher prices at the grocery store, uncertainty for families, and anxiety for workers whose jobs depend on cross-border trade. This isn't just about dairy. It's about whether trade policy is meant to foster prosperity and cooperation, or if it's just another big stick to wave at your neighbors when things get tough. In the end, the milkman's fury is a symptom of a much bigger problem: how to balance national interest with the realities of a global economy. Why all the drama? It comes down to Canada's supply management system, a fortress for its dairy farmers. This system is designed to ensure that Canadian dairy farmers can maintain a stable and predictable income, regardless of market fluctuations. This system controls the price and supply of milk, butter, and cheese, guaranteeing stable incomes for Canadian farmers. By regulating production and setting prices, it creates a balance that protects farmers from the volatility of the global market. The real sticking point: massive tariffs. These tariffs are designed to protect the domestic market from being flooded with cheaper foreign products. American dairy beyond a set quota faces up to 298% tariffs. This makes it nearly impossible for U.S. dairy products to compete in the Canadian market. These sky-high rates keep most U.S. dairy out, protecting Canadian farms and becoming a point of national pride. Canadians see this system as a way to support their local farmers and ensure the quality of their dairy products. Canadians see it as stability. Americans see it as protectionism. This difference in perspective fuels the ongoing debate between the two countries. U.S. farmers, especially in states like Wisconsin, look north and see a locked market of cheese lovers. They feel shut out of a lucrative market that could help them grow their businesses. To them, Canada's system is unfair, shutting out competition and giving Canadian farmers an unearned advantage. This sense of injustice adds fuel to the fire of the trade dispute. This fundamental disagreement is the lumpy heart of the dispute. Both sides have valid points, but finding common ground has proven to be incredibly challenging. And it's why the dairy war never seems to end. The battle over cheese and dairy is a microcosm of larger trade tensions, reflecting the complexities of international commerce. Enter the USMCA, the trade deal that was supposed to fix everything. Trump's administration promised it would open Canada's dairy market to American farmers. In reality, the USMCA only nudged the door open, slightly increasing the quota for tariff-free U.S. dairy. The core of Canada's supply management system, and those huge tariffs, remained untouched. For American farmers, it was a letdown. A nibble, not a bite. The Great Wall of Cheese still stands, just with a slightly wider gate. Years later, the core conflict remains unresolved, fueling new threats and frustration. Trump's recent tariff threats are a direct result of this lingering disappointment. The USMCA didn't end the dairy war, it just moved the battle lines. When it comes to entrenched systems, quick fixes rarely work. Canada's response to Trump's tariff threats? Polite, but unyielding. Trade Minister Mary Ng and Prime Minister Trudeau made it clear: Canada won't be bullied or dismantle supply management. They're ready to retaliate with their own tariffs if pushed, as they did during past trade spats. Canada insists it's playing by the rules set in the USMCA and sees further US demands as bad faith. Politically, caving on supply management would be disastrous for Canada, a surrender of sovereignty, and a betrayal of farmers. So, they hold the line, hoping reason will win out over rhetoric. But in trade wars, reason is often the first casualty. The standoff continues, with both sides digging in, and ordinary people brace for the fallout. While politicians spar over trade deals and tariffs, it's the farmers on both sides of the border who quietly pay the price. Their livelihoods are caught in the crossfire of decisions made far from their fields, and the consequences ripple through every acre they tend. US tariffs spark swift retaliation from other countries, shrinking global demand for American dairy and driving down prices. Milk that once flowed to international markets now sits unsold, and farmers watch as their hard work loses value overnight. The uncertainty makes it nearly impossible to plan for the future or invest in their operations. At the same time, tariffs on steel and aluminum raise costs for farm equipment, squeezing farmers from both ends. The price of tractors, tools, and repairs climbs higher, eating into already thin margins. For many, every new expense is a heavy burden added to an already growing pile of bills. Canadian farmers, though shielded from wild price swings by supply management, still face deep uncertainty from potential trade wars and supply chain disruptions. News of new tariffs or border slowdowns can mean shortages of feed, equipment, or even customers for their products. The economies are deeply connected. When one side suffers, so does the other. Trade isn't just about numbers, it's about relationships, shared risks, and mutual support between neighbors who depend on each other to survive. Real stories from farming communities reveal lost sales, mounting debt, and crushing uncertainty. Families gather at kitchen tables, trying to make sense of bills that keep piling up, and communities worry about what the future holds if the farms disappear. A Wisconsin farmer may have to sell his herd, ending generations of family tradition and hard work, while a Quebec farmer worries about broader economic fallout, wondering if his farm will be the next to feel the pinch. In this trade war, there are no real winners. The fields grow quieter, and the sense of loss is felt on both sides of the border. The people trade policy claims to help are often the ones hurt most. Their stories are rarely heard in the halls of power, but their struggles are real and ongoing. In the end, everyone, farmers, families, and entire communities, ends up paying the price for policies that promise prosperity but deliver hardship. The US tried to force Canada's hand through USMCA dispute panels, arguing Canada was unfairly limiting dairy imports. But in late 2023, the panel sided with Canada, ruling its quota system didn't violate the agreement. It was a legal win for Canada and a blow to the US, which felt the spirit of the deal was being ignored. With legal options exhausted, the US returned to tariff threats. The USMCA's ambiguity let both sides believe they'd won, but the panel confirmed Canada's interpretation. The result? More frustration and renewed threats. When you can't win by the rules, the temptation is to tear up the rulebook. The legal battle only deepened the rift. As if trade wars weren't enough, US dairy farmers face a labor crisis. Half their workforce is immigrants, but there's no visa for year-round dairy jobs. Deportation fears and lack of legal pathways create instability for both workers and farm owners. The National Milk Producers Federation warns losing this workforce could double milk prices and cost billions. On top of that, avian flu outbreaks among dairy cattle have slashed production and profits. Tariffs on steel and lumber make building and repairs more expensive, compounding the pain. Every new policy seems to create more problems than it solves. There's no magic tariff to fix dairy farming, just more burdens for those already struggling. In the end, the people meant to be helped are left carrying the heaviest load.